Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. You wrote about this yesterday on the site. Go check it out at sportstalkatl.com. An anonymous defensive coordinator, I think it was. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll say basically the general of what he said. Compared Desmond Ridder and thought that Desmond Ridder can be very much like Ryan Tannehill was under Arthur Smith in Tennessee. And I saw some Falcons fans almost like upset, like, oh, of course that it's this, like, oh, he's not Ryan Tannehill. He can be better than that. Guys, Ryan Tannehill under Arthur Smith when he was in Tennessee was one of a top 10 quarterback. I mean, we had guys legitimately on national TV saying he was a top 5 quarterback. Now, listen, he was never a top 5 quarterback, and he was always part of that system and stuff like that. But that is part of what you're getting here. I mean, Matt Ryan was never the best quarterback in the league, but under Kyle Shanahan, he was. And that's just what you're getting here. And if he can be anywhere close to what Ryan Tannehill was in Tennessee under Arthur Smith, which is a bona fide top 10 quarterback, I mean, you got something special here brewing in Atlanta, because I do think you probably have better weapons in Atlanta right now. You probably have a better offensive line. Maybe you don't have Derrick Henry, which is obviously huge, but you got Bijan Robinson, who ain't no chopped liver. And if this defense can start coming around, I mean, not only you're a playoff team that might be able to win a playoff game. And that's something to build off. I mean, especially in your second season. So anybody, I mean, you're talking about a guy who completed almost 70% of his passes, went to the Pro Bowl, was damn near an all-pro. I mean, he had some of the best seasons of his career, and was one of the best quarterbacks in the league under Arthur Smith. If Desmond Ridder can be anywhere close to that, I mean, that is a major, major compliment, especially so early in his career.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe people were taking this as like a negative thing. It came from the Athletic quarterback rankings, and they gave a little bit of a comment on each one. And this was from an anonymous defensive coach. I don't know if it was a coordinator that played Desmond Ridder last year in 2022. So it was one of those 4 games, Ravens, Saints, Cardinals, Bucks. So it was one of those. And he's basically like, yeah, he can be what Ryan Tannehill was to the Titans. And people just took it as like, Ryan Tannehill's terrible right now. I mean, he led them to a number 1 seed. He did. What's crazy is his best season wasn't even the Pro Bowl season. He went to the Pro Bowl in 2019, completing 70% of his passes, 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, 117 passer rating. Great. The next year, he threw for nearly 4,000 yards, 33 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. If Desmond Ridder did that, I mean, we would all be like, we just found a diamond in the rough. A 3rd-round pick, we're paying like $4 million over the life of his contract. I mean, this is the dream. It's the Russell Wilson dream, where you find a guy in the 3rd round who's you practically have to pay nothing. You can invest everything into the rest of the roster, and you got your guy. I don't know how people are taking this as a bad thing. He was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league, of the last 10 years, completing 70% of his passes. Listen, Arthur Smith is going to cater to Desmond Ridder. Nobody should expect Desmond Ridder to be that guy this year. That's not to say he can't become that guy. He clearly has the desire, the intangibles, to become that. He wants to become that. I don't see any reason why he can't. I mean, Ryan Tannehill probably has a better arm. They're equally as athletic, but like Desmond Ridder's arm isn't, terrible. His biggest flaws are anticipation, which is not a physical trait. It's, an experience thing. It's learning the nuances of defense, how defenses are attacking you, where your routes are going in anticipation of the coverage. That's not your arm. Your arm can make up for poor anticipation, but great anticipation isn't your arm talent. It's up here. And that's something that Desmond Ridder can work on. Accuracy is also an issue, but that's more mechanics than anything. That's mainly footwork. It's all lower body, which some people still don't understand that accuracy isn't, there's like 3 guys in league history that could throw on any platform. Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, and, Justin Herbert probably, Dan Marino as well. Desmond Ridder is going to be just fine. If he's going to be Ryan Tannehill, this is a home run selection. I mean, this is our dream come true. He was a top 10 quarterback. Right now, he's better than league average. Ryan Tannehill is probably in between the 12th to 16th best quarterback right now. I mean, isn't that what we all want? We all think that this offense can be elite if Desmond Ridder is just average. is just average. This is the dream. And I see people upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, just like put into perspective, like if he's anywhere close to Ryan Tannehill, this team makes the playoffs. Maybe they win a playoff game. Maybe they fall short against one of the better teams in the NFC. That's probably the ceiling of the team if he is Ryan Tannehill. But next year, you still have him under contract. He's making about $1 million. You get a ton more cap space. You keep adding to this defense. Maybe you add a wide receiver too. Now all of a sudden, now you're scary because you can spend all that money on the rest of your roster. If you can get that defense up to where it's a top 10 unit, I think we all think it could be around league average this year. But if you could get it up there into where it's one of the better units in the entire league, and you can keep adding to this offense and filling in where you see fit, which you will be able to do with the amount of money you have because you're not committing it to a quarterback, all of a sudden in year 3 and 4, this could be a very competitive roster, not just one that could make the playoffs, one that could make some noise in the playoffs and maybe challenge a team like the Eagles or the Niners and maybe make it out of the NFC. And I don't think that's a ridiculous thing to say. So anyone that, I mean, listen, I think we all agree that Ryan Tannehill is probably the ceiling. I mean, like that's at least what I always thought. And if you get him for that, I think you got to be happy. And whether you want to continue with that into his next contract, if maybe he doesn't reach those levels, maybe he doesn't show signs of improvements, maybe he's just a steady average quarterback and you decide to move on. But if you get average quarterback play for $1 million, you can build the rest of the roster around him where you can be very, very competitive. And you see it time and time again in this league. That's literally the cheat code of the NFL. That is how you win in the NFL, winning with a quarterback on the rookie contract. Because once they start getting paid, even Patrick Mahomes, yes, he won, but look at what the Chiefs had to do to win and everything that had to go their way. That's how it's going to be for the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes under what's now almost not even like a huge deal. It's almost quarterback friendly for what Mahomes is. But even because he's getting paid that amount of money, it's harder to win. That's how the Chiefs are going to win. It's going to have to be Patrick Mahomes putting the team on his back. And if there's anyone that can do it, it's Mahomes. But when Burrow gets paid, it's going to be 10 times harder than it is right now. Jalen Hurts just got paid. Yes, the Eagles have one more year of this like last rookie contract where they can really go all in. But then some of those pieces of that loaded roster, they're going to come off. It's going to be a lot harder to win. Lamar Jackson, like he's wasted that opportunity. So this is the time to win if you're ever going to win, and just getting league average, or if you can get above average quarterback play and load your roster around it, that's the best way to win in the NFL. And the window is tight, but there's no better guy to lead them than Arthur Smith. And hopefully he can pick up on these things and make those improvements quickly, because if he can become Ryan Tannehill, like this guy's saying, you have a chance to make some noise over these next 3 years.
Yeah, the single most valuable thing in the NFL is a quarterback on a rookie contract. It is the single most valuable thing in the NFL. You just laid it out exactly why. Because you could spend all that money elsewhere. It is the position that costs 25% of a team's salary cap. I mean, that's insane. Listen, all you have to look to the Titans with Ryan Tannehill, 2019. He comes in for Marcus Mariota. The guy's on a bogus backup deal because he flamed out in Miami, and now he's just trying to revive his career, just trying to salvage any semblance of a career. So he's getting paid junk. He replaces Marcus Mariota, never looks back. 2019, 2020, 2021, he gets that new contract, and now look at where the Titans are. He's getting paid like a number one quarterback. Sure, he deserved it. He played himself into that contract, but the Titans were fools to think that, he was the guy to lead them, other than it was all the pieces. They traded A.J. Brown. They gave Derrick Henry. The defense has taken hits because they can't pay those guys now. Jarrell Casey's gone. Listen, it is the single most valuable thing, maybe in sports, is a quarterback on a rookie contract. You said it. It's a cheat code. You could spend money frivolously. You don't even have to think about it. You just go, well, when is our rookie contract up? Oh, it's this. Let's just pay everybody right now. It doesn't matter. And by the time our quarterback's done, hopefully we drafted well and we can get rid of these higher paid guys. That's the model. It seems like that's the model the Falcons are going. Build up the entire roster and that quarterback position. Keep them cheap. Hey, look at what the Titans did. They just brought in a veteran who'd flamed out in Miami, brought him into Tennessee, and he had career years. There's plenty of ways to get a good quarterback, and it's not just through the draft.
And here's where I think, the bad part could be from Desmond Ridder reaching that level of Ryan Tannehill-ness. And you just kind of mentioned it with Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
You kind of are above average, but you're not good enough to lead a team to a Super Bowl without all those guys that you've already had when you were under your rookie contract. So you have to make that tough decision, which now it's like, do I want to pay this guy $40 million? Because that's the market rate. I mean, you saw Daniel Jones. And I think a team like the Giants, unless Daniel Jones just makes this ridiculous leap, is pretty much screwed because you're now paying this average quarterback $40 million. So I hope it doesn't end up in a situation where we get to maybe the NFC Championship with Desmond Ridder and a good defense and stuff like that. But we kind of reached our peak with them. I hope we don't hand him that mega contract. And that's a tough decision for GMs. It's probably the toughest thing to do. Let a above average or average quarterback go. But sometimes you got to take a step back to avoid a huge mistake. And I think that hopefully that's something the Falcons don't do. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk some SEC football. Which team will be the most disappointing and who will overachieve the most this season?